Okay, we are here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The round of 12 has just concluded. 4 drivers' dreams are dashed. 8 will continue on, and we have some surprise drivers: Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott. Those were the main 3 characters throughout the entire race. A lot of stuff to talk about here for the final race of the round of 12. Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is Jett. Welcome back to an episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Hope we're having a wonderful Sunday. It's not waste any time and jump right into it. Like I said at the intro, the main 3 characters was Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Chase Elliott. Now, Tyler Reddick, he won Stage 1. Stage 1 was pretty much a breeze, but Stage 2 was when things went down for the regular season champion. An unforced error. Up in Turn 7, that was one of the changes that Charlotte Roval made to make the racing a bit more exciting. An unforced error. Dove in hard into turn number 7, hits his boss, Denny Hamlin. Reddick goes up in the air. The 11 and the 45, they make big contact. And from that point onward, Reddick was basically just trying to catch up. He had suspension issues throughout the entirety of the race after that incident. And there was a really, really good chance that he would not make it into the round of 8. In fact, in the closing 20-some-odd laps, he was below the cut line, 3 or 4 points behind Joey Logano. And he was really outside the top 25. Didn't seem to have any shot. Then the crew made the adjustments, did what they needed to do, and Reddick went on a tear in those final few laps. What seemed as to be a dud, Dunzo had no chance, was able to make the spots that he needed, get inside the top 15, and he was able to advance into the round of 8, just 4 points ahead of Joey Logano, knocking him out of the NASCAR playoffs. Another playoff drivers like Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez, he started off strong in the beginning, was inside the top 10, battling with Bubba Wallace until he got knocked by him on the back straightaway, had to come to a stop, but never really seemed to have the drive or the car to be able to make his ground or make his way up into the round of 8, which kind of had a feeling was expected. Chase Briscoe, on the other hand, he had transmission issues. That was Ty Gibbs, but he had issues, had a tire go down, went on pit lane multiple times, and eventually his car suffered too much damage and he had to take it behind the wall. Day is over, and for the final time, Stewart-Haas Racing in their final season, hopes of contending for a championship were dashed today. So for the 99, the 14, their hopes were done. But with Logano, he didn't have the best car, but was in the mix, was always contending. It seems as though in those final few laps when he was losing ground, got passed by AJ Allmendinger, got passed by a couple of other drivers while Reddick was making ground. I thought at first maybe Logano was going to probably go 2015, 2016 on them and start dive bombing people, trying to make something happen, but he just did not have the car to be able to catch up and make ground on Reddick. But it was an incredible drive from the 45 team for what seemed to be them being out of it, had no chance of making it. It was an unbelievable drive after that last caution with Austin Dillon, I think with around 10 or 20 or so laps ago, maybe even earlier than that, about 30 laps ago, that the drive that Reddick had to make his way up to the field into the top 15 to make it into the round of 8 was simply impressive. And MJ, who was in the house, he was on his seats, he was edgy, all that, but as soon as Reddick came across the line, knew that he was in, a huge exhale relaxed around the 2311 pit. You saw a lot of people giving high fives and just cheering the 45 team on because there was a lot of people, of course, with MJ. There's always going to be a big crowd around them. So it was nice to see the jovialation surrounding that whole 45 team. Up front, though, it was a Kyle Larson show. I mean, from start to finish, Kyle Larson was the guy to beat. Yes, Tyler Reddick won Stage 1. Alex Bowman won Stage 2 through pit strategy, but it was really Larson's race to win. I mean, him and Shane Van Gisbergen put up a little bit of a fight at the beginning. So did AJ Allmendinger, had a strong car. That was not surprising, but by the end, nobody could catch Kyle Larson. He was miles ahead of the 20 of Christopher Bell, and he goes on to win at the Charlotte Roval for, I believe, the second time in his career. Add even more momentum to him into the round of 8. Here's a look at the results. So Kyle Larson wins, Bell in second, Byron in third, Austin Cindric. A great run for him in 4th place, but unfortunately, he did not have enough points to be able to advance into the round of 8. Regardless, a great effort from that number 2 team. 5th is Chase Elliott, 6th, AJ Allmendinger, pole sitter Shane Van Gisbergen in 7th. Logano, a strong effort, but again, was not able to make up the ground needed in 8th place. Bubba Wallace, a good run for him in 9th, and around the top 10 is Ryan Blaney. Tyler Reddick, I mean, to go from where he went, again, up to 11th, incredible drive from the 45 team. Rookie Carson Hocevar in 12th, Kyle Busch 13th. Denny Hamlin rebounds from that incident with his driver Reddick in 14th. Michael McDowell in 15th, and Stenhouse Jr., Busher, Bowman, Gillen, and rookie Zane Smith at the top 20. A couple of other notables. Martin Truex Jr. in 22nd. He had a good car after a slow pit stop, was making his way back up towards the front. Fortunately, he had to come back onto pit road very late in the race, ends up in 22nd. The stat didn't show the full story because that 19 car had a lot of pace today. Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, and Daniel Hemrick, the top 25. Justin Haley, 27th. Chastain, he got spun a couple times around in turn 7 and had other issues that relegated him back to 29th. His teammate Daniel Suarez in 31st. Gregson 32nd. Austin Dillon 33rd. Eric Jones 34th. His teammate Hunter Nemechek in 35th. Those drivers were involved in a crash early in the race around turn 17. Ty Gibbs with transmission issues at 36th place, and Chase Briscoe and Corey LaJoie round out the 38 car field. All right, so my thoughts on this race. Overall, I thought it was a typical Charlotte Roval race. My expectations weren't too high in this next-gen car. I thought the racing was better than last year. Pit strategy made it very interesting overall throughout the race. Having the different drivers, like I said, Alex Bowman up there trying to lead some laps in stage 2. Very critical for him in the round of AM. I must say this 48 team is continuing to impress me and also be extremely underrated. And I know I have to be on the 48 bandwagon at this point because he has been putting up just extremely consistent playoff runs every single week into the round of 8. I don't think many people had him in the round of 8, but here he is in contention. And say what you want. I mean, he could have there's a really good shot. Yes, he's below the cut line, but there is a really good shot that he could be contending for a championship in Phoenix in 3 weeks' time. So great playoff run by the 48 team. Extremely consistent, but still, I think not many people have him on their radar, but they should. But like I said, overall, the strategy made the racing very interesting. I didn't expect much. I thought for the Charlotte Roval, it did the job. That's really all I can say. There wasn't really that stood out to me. I just thought it did the job, and I thought it was a very solid race for the expectations. Now, do I want it back next year? No. While it was a fun experiment, personally, I would like to see the Charlotte Oval return for 2026 at least, because we know it's going to come back in 25. It was a fun experiment, but personally, I think the experiment is over, and I think it's time we should go back into the oval part of NASCAR racing in Charlotte for 2026 and get rid of the Roval. It's a nice experiment, but I think its lavishness, the uniqueness of it has worn off. So overall, if I were to give this race on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it about a 6.5. Again, did the job. I didn't expect much for it. It did the job. It did what it needed to do. And I left very satisfied for it. We were in the infield. We went through. There were so many different sections to go out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We were over a different section of it, met a lot of great fans, and very fun experience to be at the racetrack. My first time I've been at the track since LA in 23, so it's been a long time, but a very fun experience. Can't wait to return back for next time. But yeah, we'll like to come back, but this time for 2 oval races, not an oval and a Roval. Another thing that I do have to mention, though, with NASCAR officiating, while it wasn't as bad as yesterday was a complete colossal failure. Today, no issues with officiating except for turn 17. Remember, they made an adjustment to that. They made an adjustment to the turtles, or the curbs, however you want to call it, to make it much more easier for the drivers to handle. But they made some modifications in terms of how they officiate. If 2 of your tires are over the blue curb, basically, if they can see that there's blue curbing on the left side tires, that means you're outside of the racing surface, track limits, it's a penalty. Well, a couple times you saw, for example, the 23 of Bubba Wallace, he cut through it, he got a penalty, fair play. But then you saw the 24 of William Byron do the same thing and yet didn't get a penalty. Again, it's a small nitpick, but again, if you're going to enforce the rules, do it properly. I know it's redundant and annoying to say it, but it's just every week we see the same thing pop up. Whether it's big or small, NASCAR officiating not be consistent. So that's something I just had to point out because it just, once again, just kind of irked me. How one driver, they did it, the other driver, they didn't. We got to be consistent with this. Overall, that's all I have to say about this race. Not much to talk about, but still a very interesting race nonetheless, especially those final few laps with Elliott, who had a good car, didn't have the best car, but just had a good car, did what he needed to do to score the points necessary. I thought at first between the 9 and the 45, I thought that was going to be the battle, but again, those last 30 some odd laps was very fun to watch. Not so much on-track action, but of course with the points battle with those drivers racing each other, and that drive from Reddick at the end was very fun to watch. So I will give credit to Charlotte for that. But yeah, not much else to say. On to next weekend at Las Vegas. Should be fun to see what happens there. The second to last mile and a half track of the season. So very fun to see how that goes. We know how the next gen is at a track like Las Vegas. Should be very fun to see. But the round of 8 is looking mighty interesting to see some of the drivers that are in, some that are coming from behind. should be a very fun round of 8. But what are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you not? As always, until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.